Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, another Surefire X300 on this one. This gun is just a pleasure to shoot. With that really tight stainless steel spring coat guide rod, it does help with the recoil some, but it's very heavy. You definitely cannot shoot low recoil rounds out of it. It's definitely a tighter spring. I'm just going to say, a lot of things I see people do wrong with their Glocks is that they'll have that grip plug and they won't have a grip plug in the grip hole. And, that can definitely hang up your reloads if you don't have one in there, if you don't have something in like marine epoxy or a magazine well or something like that. So definitely make sure you have something in there to fill that hole. This one, I have a little grip plug. There it is. They're like $2 or $3 or something like that. My 19 has marine epoxy in there, so I don't have to worry about it on that one. But, when making any modifications to your handgun, if you want the I consider reliability to be absolute. So whatever I do to my handguns, it doesn't affect reliability, bottom line. And then I look at enhancements to increase my effectiveness with the weapon. So number one being grip, 3, 2, accuracy, which for handguns, the most important thing, it's probably going to be trigger control. But, I don't like messing with the triggers on my gun because I want them to be absolute and reliable. So I don't do that. So that's why these all keep factory triggers. And, factory trigger in a clock isn't bad. It has a very good positive reset. The travel, it's not atrocious, especially for a double action type gun. So, I definitely prefer it over a stock M&P. A stock M&P, you absolutely have to go to an upgraded trigger. You just can't shoot that gun as is. These stock triggers and the Glocks, you can shoot them right out of the box. They're fine. They're extremely combat effective. You're not going to have any problems with them. So, a lot of people like to go and get their aftermarket competition Glock triggers. And, there's some good ones, there's some bad ones. I won't get into that, but I like to run them stock because I think that's the most reliable, and there's nothing wrong with it. You should, people want to hit like dimes at like 50 meters with a handgun. That's not the purpose of a handgun unless, maybe if you're a police officer and your primary weapon is a handgun and you might have to take a, 50 to 100 meter shot with a handgun on a suspect or a shooter, I guess, because, that's the only gun you have on you. But even then, you're hitting a man-sized target, and any round of, on target is generally going to have some sort of effect on a human being. Where you shoot him in his leg or his foot or his hands. Now, obviously, getting shot in the head is going to create more of an effect than getting shot in the hand. But, rounds on target is a round on target. So, a handgun is called a secondary weapon for a reason. If I can engage a silhouette, an IPSC silhouette at 50 meters and put 4 out of 3 or 4 out of 5 rounds into that target, then I'm doing pretty good. I say the combat effectiveness of that is pretty good. That means I'm getting some hits, in a chest-sized target, 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, whatever. That's pretty good. That's acceptable combat acceptable combat accuracy to me. So, this is the way I set up my guns. It's not too fancy. The only thing that I really want to do in the future with these guns is send it off to a machine shop and get serrations cut into the front and to the top of the gun, because the Glock finish is notoriously slippery, especially when wet with water or blood. It's almost impossible to rack the gun back, especially this one with that beefier spring in it. It's very hard, and I even went old school and got some grip tape on the top. I don't have grip tape on the sides anymore because my tight Kydex holster was rubbing material off, and I didn't want to screw up the retention of my holster, so I took it off. But the next thing I do to these handguns will probably be to send the 19 or the 34 off to get serrations cut into the slide. I mean, other than that, I got to be able to hold the gun good, and I got to be able to manipulate the gun for reloads and for malfunctions. So that's what I consider absolute. Oh, one more alibi. On the sights on the 34, I don't have the Warrens. I have the 10-8s, and it's more of a competition sight. It's still a U-notch. but it's more of a competition sight, or I should say a long distance sight. And the front sight is their the skinniest one they make with a brass bead in it. And the reason why I wanted the skinniest one is so that way I could engage more targets, because if you have a big old front sight, it's going to cover up more target, and it's going to be harder to engage a target at longer distance. So I put the super skinny front sight post with the brass bead in it. And the reason why the brass bead is there, that's old school competition before fiber optics and tritium inserts, is that it just creates contrast, so I don't have to paint that. And it stands out really good. I mean, it catches sun good. It's kind of like an ancient fiber optic sight, and I really like it. And I got these guns set up now, sight wise and trigger wise and barrel wise, how I like them. The barrels, if I when or if I shoot the barrels out of these guns, I'll probably upgrade to a stainless steel barrel. But right now, these barrels are fine. There's nothing wrong with them, and Glocks are generally pretty accurate right out of the box. So these are my 3 Glocks, all of them in 9mm. Each one serves a pretty specific purpose. Not to say that I couldn't necessarily fight with this gun, because obviously this is the gun that's issued to, so if you're lucky enough in your in Army Special Forces to get one of these, this is what you can sometimes get issued. Even some more specialized units are lucky enough to get this thing. But you could fight with either one. This one in a combat situation has a slight advantage of sight radius, magazine capacity, and size to this one. This one obviously is better for concealability. This is called like the all-purpose Glock. Glock 19 is referred to as an all-purpose Glock, or a Glock 17 that's chopped down to a Glock 19's frame size. Is sometimes called an all-purpose Glock because you can do just about everything with. And then this is my deep concealment Glock. So this is when I carry, when I need utmost concealability. So I never carry anything smaller than this. I don't carry pocket rockets, no Saturday night specials, no 38 5-shot revolvers. This would be the absolute smallest gun I would carry to trust my life in for a concealed carry situation. And if I was a police officer or an agent, I would not at all carry this gun. So just my thoughts on how I set up my handguns. Later.